We've come to the point of our school budget development that we're proud to present our finances to the public for the upcoming 26-27 school year. Before we cover actual dollars and cents, I'd like to bring the focus on why we're here and then go a bit into the process of how the school budget is developed. To explain why we are here and what we are doing, I'd like to bring your attention to the Little Silver School's mission statement that was developed with the community, teachers, and staff during strategic planning in June of 2023. The Board of Education is an elected body that oversees policy and appoints leadership to steward two very important aspects of the Little Silver community: its students and the educational facilities. They are ever mindful that the funds we are spending on these objectives are public funds. I've titled this presentation Strategic Stewardship Amid a Challenging Economic Landscape, with the thought that while the educational funding and the district itself are undergoing a lot of changes, our mission is still the same. We are committed to continuing the excellence, fostering a strong educational community, and building for the future as we improve our facilities and environment so that our students can continue to achieve to the highest standards. The next slide is a little review of school funding accounting. We operate under GAAP standards, generally accepted accounting principles, which are overseen by the GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board. Basically, we are charged with making sure that the funding we receive goes where it was planned to go. Depending on where the monies are coming from, it is separated into different accounting categories. Funds 10, 11, and 12 are for general operations. Fund 20 is for specific grants. Fund 30 is set up for revenue from the sale of bonds used for specific projects, which we received in December 2023 from our bond sale, and we have been spending those funds as referendum projects take place. Finally, Fund 40 is for the repayment of those bonds. The state will be contributing $845,217 in debt service aid this year to help with those payments. With fund accounting in mind, for the next few slides, our focal point will be the general or operating fund. The representation of where the money comes from should be familiar to most of us by now. We are primarily funded by property taxes. Reserve accounts are monies that we can use specifically for capital projects or required maintenance, and fund balance includes unexpended funds from the end of the 24-25 school year, and these two account for 5.1% of our revenue. With that in mind, the district is actually 87.3% locally funded. State aid was decreased 3% this year and is 3.9% of the budget. Extraordinary aid, which is a reimbursement for some special education expenses, is being more fully funded, though we've only budgeted that it will be less than 1% of our revenues. We do have some revenue from tuition students we receive and miscellaneous things like interest, E-rate, and various other items. This year, the reserve slice of the pie is 3.6%, as we look to replace water heaters, continue the door replacement project that has been ongoing, run structured cabling, and replace the stucco and lintels at Markham. And once the money comes in, it goes right out. There are several different ways to depict how the pie is sliced. We could show classroom versus extracurricular, special ed versus regular ed costs, and so on. There's a chart of per pupil costs in the user-friendly budget, which will be available on our website, that speaks to some of these items. This slide deck will also be available on the website. For me, the two biggest drivers are salaries and benefits. I've highlighted those here. Together, the royal blue and red pieces of the pie represent 82.1% of our expenses, which is not unusual for a school district or most operations these days. Some of the other significant pieces of the pie are purchase services made up of payments for things like outside evaluations or professional services like the board attorney, auditor, and architect, as well as needed insurances. Non-instructional services are 4.1% of the expenses and include things such as required building maintenance, which like repairs and services such as fire alarm systems and security systems. We have instructional supplies, which include the online subscriptions we use, consumables, and classroom and office supplies, making up 3.9% of expenses. We also provide transportation for regular ed students as well as special ed students, and transportation paid for students who require out of district placements. Both of those last categories are also subsidized by the federal government via the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA as we know it. Please keep in mind that this is our operational expenses, and the funds from the referendum are not reflected in this pie chart. In reflecting on expenses, it seems a good time to mention the organizations that help support our students so the district can go above and beyond: the PTO and the borough. We have several shared services that allow us to stretch your tax dollar. We have a shared service with the borough for our grounds at both schools, and they are doing a phenomenal job keeping our grounds in beautiful, safe shape. The PTO provides the district with extremely generous grants and donations that enable our students and staff to have an incredible educational experience. In fact, in the current school year, the PTO has funded a class trip for every grade, in addition to grants to each school's library, ensuring our catalog is current and enticing to our readers. The EFLS, which has now combined with the PTO, funded the beautiful esports lab at Markham, which will enable our students to have an incredible experience in an up-and-coming extracurricular area, as well as funding much of the technology, such as our one-to-one device program. We're very appreciative of them and look forward to a continued partnership. Having looked at where the revenues come from and some of our expenditures, let's see how it is that we come up with the data we use to determine our budget. We start with students. How many are we expecting and what might be their needs? This drives staffing. This budget allows for the proper staffing to continue to have manageable class sizes, differentiated instruction, intervention services, as well as special education for our students with a 504 or an IEP. We work with our professionals to determine estimates for things like increases in health benefit costs. This budget allows for a 9.1% increase in healthcare costs, which has been verified with our insurance broker. Our brokers diligently shop all providers for the best possible rates, and as has been discussed, while 9.1% is a significant increase, it was far more manageable than what had been offered by Horizon, which was 23.5%. I will talk in more detail about this in coming slides. We anticipate what state aid and grant funding will be. This year, we budgeted for 75% of the current allocations, given some uncertainty with the Department of Education and how much federal funding may be affected. We discussed things like tax impact with our finance and board and committees at our meetings. Then we put together a tentative budget, which is submitted to the state. After that's reviewed and approved, we get to the public hearing we have tonight, discuss and answer community questions, and then the board adopts the budget and sends it to the borough and county so that the tax rate can be struck. This slide is a representation of our current health plan offerings and rates compared next to all of the renewal options we sought. I know this may be difficult to see, but this presentation will be made available on the district website if you'd like a closer look. What you'll see is the renewal rate increases proposed by Horizon and AmeriHealth. You'll also see that Aetna, Cigna, The Shift, NJ Solutions, and United Healthcare declined to quote us. We also asked for quotes for self-insurance possibilities despite the likelihood that it would not be cost-effective, and we were also declined quotes from Horizon and stop-loss providers due to poor historical data over the last 3 years and known projected risk. After exhaustive questions and examination by the board, the decision was made to switch providers to AmeriHealth. As AmeriHealth had guaranteed equal to or better coverage for the district employees, as approved by the NJEA Uniserv rep, as well as our brokers, the fiscally responsible decision was to switch healthcare providers from Horizon to AmeriHealth beginning July 1. However, through continued collaboration with our professionals, the Board of Education, the borough, and their professionals, we were presented with a formal proposal on April 21st from NJ Solutions. They ended up matching AmeriHealth's rate increase of 9.1%, but the network provider would be Horizon. All things being equal now, with regard to cost increase and Horizon having the larger provider network, the board will be approving a resolution tonight that the district go with NJ Solutions. Thereby, district employees will be able to keep Horizon as their provider. By state law, the district can only increase its tax levy revenue by a maximum of 2% year over year. There are exceptions, like previously authorized spending that we saved in previous years, known as banked cap, which we are using for this budget. But for the most part, it is law that you cannot increase your levy more than 2%. By law, we are also required to have a balanced budget, meaning that revenues must equal expenditures. Skyrocketing health costs will continue to be an issue in future years. As you can see from this slide, if healthcare costs go up by an average of 7% each year, by the 2031-2032 school year, healthcare costs will have exceeded the 2% levy increase. Here's a look at if healthcare costs rise 15% on average year over year. Healthcare costs will exceed the levy increase as soon as 27-28. The same is true should costs spike to a 25% increase on average. So there is a lot of concern that this will continue to be an issue. Districts are not being fiscally irresponsible, but are being challenged in many ways by expenses that are not within their control. However, I will be working with professionals to come up with creative solutions of how we can prepare for this and doing as much as we can on a district level to control the costs we can control while still providing our students with excellence in education that they've come to expect so that they can reach their fullest potential. As everything we do is driven by the mission and strategic plan of the district that we discussed earlier, and we will continue to do so despite the many financial challenges. Now we will take a look at the budget we have put together. As you know, we continue this year to do much needed building and instructional space improvements through the referendum funds and the ROD grants, which eliminate Band-Aid solutions and provide true healing to enable us to move our curriculum, programs, and students into the future. You'll also see our district's debt payment is down a bit from our payment due this year. The local levy has increased 2% over last year. The district will be utilizing its banked cap, which is previously authorized unused spending from over the past 3 years of $455,628. Utilizing those funds provides for a tax levy increase of 4.31%. Let's look at the tax impact. As you can see, the district levy is increasing by $751,144. You also can see that the value of Little Silver properties are increasing, with ratables increasing significantly, as well as the value of a median home. So even though the district is increasing the levy, its impact on your taxes means that for every $100 you pay in taxes, the district is taking 60 cents this year. Next year, for every $100 you pay, the district will be taking just over 56 cents. Essentially, the overall percentage of the district's share of the overall tax levy will decrease slightly from 25-26. It also shows that if your home is priced at the median home price, your taxes will increase by 25% per month. That number will vary depending on the value of your home. This budget allows the district to increase salaries for all district employees. There are funds to support the curriculum across all subject areas and allow us to pilot a new math program and implement new standards, as well as this budget allows us to continue supporting current programs and curricula and provides resources for our staff to adopt and write curriculum, as well as our DDT team to dig into student data and make impactful decisions to make students more successful. It also provides for a healthcare provider change that was discussed earlier. Finally, this budget provides funds to capital projects in conjunction with the referendum to keep our buildings and grounds in great shape. Putting it all together, We feel we have established a strong, supportive budget, keeping with continued pride and educational excellence.